The letter.
How did you know?
They were collecting supplies for other survivors. That, and the tear stains.
Is that what that was? Yes, well, there's a lot to cover.
We should at least give you the high-level details on both. Where do you want?
Talk to me about the supplies.
They did astonishing work.
Indeed, a robust collection, including several enchanted objects we barely recognize.
They had a keen eye for things that could decay and took care to preserve them.
You two sound giddy.
If there's one thing Lane and I are passionate about, it's preservation of rare objects.
Were there any hints of more of these?
As far as we can tell, this was it.
It's impressive one runner could gather this much, frankly.
Have you been working your magic, Casmin?
Obviously. Thank you for bringing everything back so carefully.
Anything of note?
Yes, but let's save that until we've done the other question.
That's enough about the cash.
Sure.
What did the final note say?
Yes, right. It was a farewell. One sibling disappeared. The runner.
I thought the runner of the pair was the one we found.
So did we. But this last message was a farewell to his sister.
Really?
I know. But apparently their boss had been ordered to stop wasting resources.
And so our hauler left this farewell, hoping his sister might find it, on the off chance she was alive.
He was going to remove all their other messages so their plan wouldn't be found out.
We postulate he was on his way to do that
when the flood caught him.
These people, however many are left,
they might really need our help.
They're still organized and have a command structure. But it sounds...
Is there anything we could do, do you think?
Sadly, no. But
did we confirm they weren't actually stealing from the Enclave?
The letter seems genuine. I think their plan was to bring in a big haul.
It says a lot about the Hearthsiders that our siblings thought this would clear any suspicion.
How so?
The cloud of suspicion tells us they were in dire times. Tight.
But bring in a big load and we trust you.
So you think our runners were dirty?
I think the system's dirty, and they're just stuck working through it.
I'm not going to say the name, but do we have any sense of who was...
The Enclave's leader was called the Eye, a first of firsts, elected from the masters of each craft, the High Smith, High Enchanter, and so on. Unfortunately, we don't have any details about their direct superior. I'll spare you the name.
Let's move on to something else.
Of course.
So,
good news. We compared notes. We found parts that will let us complete Lucia's thimble from those schematics you decoded.
It has been a busy time. Solar will handle the assembly.
I suppose the only other thing to say is...
Indeed. We have made progress in unraveling the shape of what the posts... Further, these documents are invaluable.
And maybe you'd put a couple souls to rest.
You got everything you needed from the Strand, Tom?
Absolutely. All part of the preparation. What I need now, when you have the time, if you would do me the honor...
She is 10 steps or so away. I brought you a bag full of what looks like Arthur's breakfast.
The ink caps and sprigs of Diane's chorus. Lovely. And Oria didn't have any
She noticed a pretty immediate improvement. Seems like it worked a treat.
Wonderful. I'll keep on producing the solution for her then. Another project on my to-do list. How delightful.
We're not overloading you, are we?
Quite the opposite. If I only had one thing to think about, I'd be tearing my hair out in frustration. For example, since this began, I've been thinking about what else I could do with those. Perhaps I could mix up glow-in-the-dark ink, for example. My focus is on utility, though. And one must ask, would glow-in-the-dark ink be helpful? What do you think?
Perhaps it could be used to make maps that you can read by stab.
I don't know. I read all of my research material.
If it were up to me, all my maps would glow in the dark.
Oh, of course. I hadn't considered that perspective at all.
I don't think you'd make much of a dent in your workload. But sometimes it's nice to sit in the dark with a...
Very true. After all, the idea for enhancing Watcher's wisp.
a tree.
Upon further reflection, I don't think I could possibly make that... my point is, as you suggested, idle thought can indeed... Nevertheless, I will keep you abreast of any developments, though I think this project may fall by the wayside.
Absolutely. Do you need any...
Not right now. Thank you for...
Anytime.
Hi. Something you need?
No, Solar. The question...
Well said, Bryn.
It's beautiful. When did you have time to make a planishing hammer of all things?
Oh, I wouldn't know where to begin, love. But I did see you eyeing one. I bought it quietly, and have been hoping to enchant it for some time. Our point was...
That's really thoughtful. What kind of enchantment?
It applies a small spike of heat with each strike to smooth out... I've even wondered if something like cinder linen could catalyze higher heats, so each hammer in your collection could spike to exacting levels. The possibilities are endless. And lightweight. Keep your smithy even more portable.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's lovely, but I don't know if we'll need a whole set of them.
If it makes life on the road easier for you, it's worth the effort.
Well, maybe. We don't need to be on the...
But that's a weaver's life.
Not in the Enclave. I just... Look, it's an absolutely lovely hammer, and I can't...
Yes, well, very good. The Enclave still has so much to offer.
Strand. Wonderful.
Found a key swatch. There's a note with it. It says, Commander, it's ready. Use the harness to execute Asylum.
Another key swatch. I wonder if it will lead us to whatever the harness is.
Only one way to find out.
With the documents you found in the Bastion already, wherever the key swatch leads must be a crucial piece of the puzzle.
I'll use it when I'm ready then. Where am I? Underground?
That barrier almost looks like the Veil.
It must be the one Lucia wrote about in her notes.
And the panel looks like our scry. Anyone know what it is?
No idea.
Similar design to a scry, but it looks like it's a permanent installation. Like it interfaces with the room. Could this be the harness?
Must be. It seems like Asylum involved sealing away whatever's beyond this barrier.
With this discovery and everything else you found, I should be able to piece together what Asylum actually was.
I know we need to discuss the barrier and its potential ties to the flood. But want to give me a rundown of the recent...
Of course. Years after the surge, there was an inexplicable spike in casualties.
You don't think it's due to the Arks going hostile?
Well, that may be part of it, but we can't be certain due to the information blackout. All we know is that it nearly wiped the Hearthsiders out. What seems to have saved them was Asylum's execution, a defensive measure that involved sealing the underground behind a magical barrier.
Almost like the Veil.
Exactly like the Veil.
So the Enclave didn't just hide information from the rest of the Mater, but their own people as well.
Judging from the secrecy and a few of the letters you found, clearly not everyone was in favor of this measure, and
People like Lucia.
a dissenting group known as the Verdant Minds that she had ties to. Though it's entirely unclear what those...
You said the casualties spiked long after the surge. Can you elaborate on what might have caused this?
This is truly the thousand-fairer question. With the information blackout, I can't find a concrete link to the cause across hundreds of pages. Ark hostility could certainly be a factor. Clearly, numerous Weavers were killed by their own defenses. The recorded minutes from other meetings in the War Room illustrate a long period of geological instability following the surge as well. Aftershocks and earthquakes and... well, not to mention the outskirts grew more dangerous each year as the creatures were allowed to breed. But these threats seemed to plateau in the early years after the surge. There is no mention of the spike that resurfaced and prompted a...
That's so strange.
It is.
Khan Stanild gave the orders to execute Asylum. Do we know anything else about him?
Judging from the series of letters between him and the commander, it would seem that, at the time, he was recently elected. And judging from the frequency with which he followed up on the commander's progress with Asylum, this defensive measure was a key pillar in his political platform. He seemed to grow increasingly concerned with his popularity among civilians in the most recent letters.
Ugh. Isn't that kind of slimy?
Leveraging a security crisis to consolidate political influence? Yes, it's incredibly slimy and effective.
And the commander? Do we know what happened to him?
It would appear that Asylum was executed successfully, so perhaps he is still alive. But until we find the Hearthsiders, we can't know for sure.
It's got to be where the Hearthsiders went, right? Remember, the letter mentioned they were evacuated from the city.
To an undisclosed location. We have no real confirmation that they are down there.
But it would make sense, wouldn't it? After all, asylum can mean shelter or safekeeping.
It can also mean prison. I know everyone wants an easy answer to where they went, but something just doesn't add up. You would think there would be at least one document linking Asylum to the evacuation of the city, and there simply isn't.
So, back to the barrier. Think it's the one Lucia was trying to take down?
Yes, the very same. She was right, too. It's causing the miasma floods. The raw magic that off-gasses from the veil is what causes the tangles to cluster at its base. In speaking with Dharm, we theorized that this second barrier could potentially be doing the same thing. Except in a more pressurized environment, like, say, within a barrier of kinetic magic.
We don't get small pockets of raw magic like tangles. We get floods of it.
Precisely.
So we need to remove Asylum's barrier to stop the flood. Now we really need to talk to the others.
Agreed.
All right. Let's go over everything we know so far.
We know that, for a time after the surge, civilians continued to live in Tenebron until they were forced to evacuate the city. We're still not sure the cause.
Wherever the Hearthsiders went, they're still actively sending scouting groups to scavenge for supplies. From the uniform, the creeper who was watching Bryn sleep belongs to one of these groups.
We also know that a defensive procedure codenamed Asylum sealed access to the Enclave. This was done using a barrier almost...
Lucia, an ex-High Enchantress, opposed Asylum and began working on ways to sabotage it.
Her research forecasted that the barrier would cause the Enclave to flood with miasma. The very same flood that seems to have killed Lucia before she was able to finish her thimble.
But we have her design.
So Lucia's thimble is the key to our survival.
It's less a key and more like a magical battering ram.
Whatever works.
What is it, Lane?
It's just I've pored over all the documents we've compiled, and a concrete link between the evacuation plan and the underground is nowhere to be found. I can't shake the feeling we're missing something.
Lane, if it turns out the underground is filled with five-headed lizards spitting poison instead of Hearthsiders, I'll be fine. Skies. That might even be more fun.
We have different definitions of fun.
Being a weaver isn't about being certain all the time. It's about taking calculated risks to carve a path forward. And regardless of the Hearthsider's location, disrupting the barrier is the only...
You're right. I just hope that if we did miss something, it doesn't come back to bite us.
Even if it does, we will handle it.
That settles it. Bryn, it's time...
Thank you for your help with that, Bryn. You've adapted. Also, Lucia knew what she was doing. This thimble was clearly...
Must be her experience as a high enchant.
Based on Lucia's notes and what we discovered at the Bastion, this was custom designed to...
If it can stop the flood, we need to use its...
Agreed. We don't know how much time we... A deadly flood of raw magic is just what we...